everyone. Welcome to the Freelance Copywriter Sessions. Nicole here. Today we're sitting with Esai Arasi. Esai, thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much for having me, Nicole. My name is Esai. I run a social media and lead gen agency called Social Catalyst. I'm from Chennai, India, and I'm really excited for our chat here today.
What time is it there, by the way?
It's about 10 p.m., but since most of my clients are international, my schedule is very flexible.
Oh, nice. And so do you find that because you're a freelancer, it's really easy to just, change your schedule from day to day?
Mm-hmm. And I really love that because I do all my personal chores and I have my personal life in the middle of the day when there's no traffic, the malls are empty. It's easy for me to go wherever I want and just get tables, get tickets. Everything's easy. And I work early in the morning for the clients. I have some clients in Hong Kong and Dubai. So I handle those in the morning and I handle my UK and US and Canada clients at night. So I feel like I get the best of both parts of my day.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm kind of jealous of that because I was thinking this morning, I'm like, I have to go to the post office, but it's open from 9 to 5 and, yes, we're at work. And so I think about freelancers and I'm like, wow, you guys have it so good because you can just basically work whenever you want and you can flex, your schedule can be flexible depending on your clients and everything. So that's great.
Exactly. One of the things I worked in a 9 to 5 for about 12 years. And there was a time when I realized that I hadn't seen sunlight in months because I was too burnt out to go out on the weekends. And I'm inside my building before the sun's like out and sunny. And I only go back home like way past 7 and 8. And I realized that I haven't seen the sun. How can this be normal? That was one of the key things that decided that, I'm not gonna take on another full-time job. I'm gonna go out on my own.
Yeah. So when did you start freelancing?
I started freelancing in 2018. I did that in my country. I tried a bunch of different things. I freelanced because 12 years of my experience was in corporate training. So I first started out as a freelance trainer. And I used to teach spoken English and career coaching, stuff like that. And then I started learning marketing because I wanted to grow my own business because I wanted to get better clients, higher paying clients. And as I started learning marketing and I started implementing it for myself, the first thing I did was YouTube SEO. My videos started ranking. It was like a proper formula. I know if I did 1, 2, 3 these steps, and just like Joe teaches, right? If you do your research, do your VOC, and you test it, it's going to convert. And that's how SEO was for me as well. And I started getting results. And people said, the people who I was in the courses with, which I was taking for marketing, they said, "Oh, that's cool. You're getting results. I'm not. Can you help me?" And I realized marketing and writing is a lot more profitable. And I've been writing pretty much since I was 7, 8. So I was like, really? I get paid for doing something that I enjoy this much, and I get to stay at home and just do it from my computer and at any time that I like. And I was like, yeah, that's the pivot that I made in 2020. And I haven't looked back. It's been a phenomenal 3-year growth.
That's awesome. So when did you join the 10X FC community?
I think I joined 10X FC in 2021, about a year, but I had already joined Copy School. I had already taken Copy School before that. And Copy School is a beast. There's just so much in there and they have to work through one by one. And it was very overwhelming for me at the beginning. I thought I was exclusively writing website copy at that time. I didn't even have any idea about what other types of copy there was to write. So I was working through Copy School when 10X FC came about, and I already loved everything Joe was teaching in Copy School, even though the lessons, the courses themselves were expansive and exhaustive. It was still broken down into bite-sized pieces, so you could quickly implement everything that you're learning. So I was sold. But I think what also sold me was the fact that Summer was the hero. She was in the hero image, right? Summer was from Pakistan. She's my neighbor, and I was like, okay, if somebody who looks like her who's done exactly what I'm trying to do, if she can get results, this is the program for me. So that was in 2021. when I first joined and started working through the modules one by one.
Oh, that's great. Wow. It's like, wow, that's really great to hear. What's the most, what do you think is the most valuable thing you've gotten out of being in that community? Like, is it just, being a part of the community, or is it more you're getting a lot of tips from other people who are asking questions? Like, how do you find value in it?
Honestly, if you look at the community aspects of it, I am not that active in the Slack channel. I haven't asked a single question during office hours. I haven't been that active. But what it has allowed me to do is form really deep, meaningful relationships with people there. There are a lot of people that I met in 10XFC. Charlotte Davis is a good example. Nikki is a good example. These are all people. Sunny is a good example. Summer actually sent me one of the biggest projects that I've done was a referral that I got from Summer inside 10XFC. She made the intro and I worked with them, and it was a huge project for me. So all of that was fantastic. But I think what I really loved was it was a place where I could show up and I could be recognized simply based on my talent. I've read multiple fireside chats in 10XFC. Even though I'm not super active, I've been able to showcase my growth, and I've been featured in Copyhackers. I think there was a blog in 2021. I was featured as the lead gen expert to hire in 2021. I was featured in the Six-Figure Freelancer book. It was the opportunities that Joe gave, that all you had to do was bring your talent and get these opportunities, because the caliber of the people, I know there are a lot of newbies in there as well, but the caliber of people who are still in there, despite being highly successful copywriters themselves, I learned so much reading their questions and answers that Joe leaves them, and just participating in whatever limited capacity that I can. I'm still getting so much out of it.
Yeah, no, 100%. We were actually just talking about this at the office a couple of weeks ago, and we're going through the 10XFC chat, trying to find some questions and use it for further content for us. And we are seeing so many recognizable names. We're like, oh, hey, there's so-and-so. Like, oh my gosh, they started off in 10XFC. So yeah, it's 100%. You can definitely see that the growth that happens through that community.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious, what is, do you have any really fun client stories or scary client stories? Just something that's memorable that you remember, especially when you started out freelancing?
So I always remember the very first client that I copy for. So she writes romantic romance novels. Which is this Navy SEAL and vampire. They're these really steamy, really sexy novels. And my client, she's 65, she's in her late 60s, and she's so incredibly sweet and a very talented author. So that was the very first project that I did, and she had no idea about copywriting or marketing or any of those things. All she knew was she was running book funnels, and she wanted her entire email funnel organized. And for her, I actually worked for $10 an hour. I didn't even quote her a package deal. I just said, okay, these many hours, and I will just charge you that. I think the first invoice that I sent for her for writing her entire email sequence, her welcome sequence, were about $220 at the beginning, because she was my very first client, and I was really excited. I had sunk a lot of money in copy school, which for me was a lot, because at that time I was in India and I didn't have any international clients. So I had put in a lot of money and I invested in myself, and I wanted to make it back. So the funny thing was, I got a lot of pushback initially from her when I said I needed to do all these VOC research and we need this elaborate welcome sequence. And she was very hesitant, saying, do we really need to do this much? What swung her my way was because I was saying I need to do 5 hours of research at $10 an hour. So it was an easy yes for her. Yeah, you know what? Just okay, fine. I'm gonna take this big swing for $50, and why don't you go ahead? So I did that research, and I wrote all of the funnel. So when she had come to me, she was feeling a bit disconnected. She was feeling a little burnt out. She was writing all of these books, but she felt like she wasn't connecting with her audience directly. She knows people are reading, but she's not getting enough reviews and all that sort of thing. So the first email that we wrote for her in our welcome sequence, we asked her audience a simple question. So we shared a little bit about her life, and then we asked them, and this was stuff that I found out through VOC. People remember the very first time they read a romance novel. They remember how, because I know it, because I remember it the very first time I read it. I remember how old I was. I remember what the story was. I remember how I felt. I remember talking about it with my sister. So we asked that question: what was the first romance novel that you read? And so Sharon, that was my client, she shared her story and she asked for this question. And she got so many amazing responses, like deep, heartfelt, in-depth responses about the books that they had read. And then these readers segued into Sharon's books, and they told her how much they loved her books. And they told her what was the first book they read written by her. And she came back saying, and I have a testimonial from her saying, I wasn't at all sure this would work, but I feel like I completely feel re-energized, and I feel so connected to my audience now. And she was just blown away from the results she saw. And that was the very first time I wrote a copy project, and I got an immediate, clear, and distinctive win. And I knew that this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my career.
Yeah, that sounds like it definitely fueled a fire in you then. And especially like having such like great results like off the get-go, like wow.
Yeah, that felt really good. And again, it's all because I had like a proven system to back up what I was doing. I wasn't writing in a blank doc. I had the research, I had the process, I had the research to back it up. So I knew that I'm not leaving the results to chance. And I also knew that this is a repeatable process, that I'm going to get the same results for every client that I get. And the best part is I was able to take that process, and I realized that nobody had done it. Nobody had adapted it to social media, because social media is a little bit different from copy. It is content, right? So I have actually adapted that process to copy in a way that my framework now, which I talked about in the 6-Figure Freelancer, is that I guarantee results. Even on social media, I guarantee sales calls, I guarantee lift in traffic, lift in sales. And I confidently guarantee that, because since 2020, every single client who's worked with us for longer than 3 months has seen significant results directly attributed to the work that we do for them, similar to what we did for Sharon. So I created this entire framework called Social Connection. Again, all from the foundational principles that I learned in copy school, and I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, like I feel like a little bit like I'm talking to a celebrity, because I will be honest, I read the 6-Figure book and I was like, oh wow, like I know who she is and she wants to like be in this interview with me. Wow. But yes. Yeah, so I really liked your chapter, like, and yeah, no, it is nice to hear about like the processes, and copywriting is not just, like you said, like it's not just like, let's sit down with a blank doc and let's just start writing and find something that sounds good. It's like, no, especially conversion copywriting. It's all about the frameworks, voice of customer data. You're not, you're doing it to get results. You're not just doing things that sound snappy, right?
Exactly.
It's very sweet, and it's very nice that you were able to find just like right off the get-go, like a supportive client like that. I was kind of wondering, what are your experiences with less than supportive clients? Obviously not, naming names or giving too many details, but like, how do you deal with, clients that are giving you like a lot of pushback, and you still, obviously want to stick to your processes because you know that they work?
Right. So luckily, so far, I haven't had any clients who have pushed back on my process. So I only have 2 categories of clients: either clients who completely trust me and they believe in my process, and sometimes they put back saying, are you sure? Is this really the way to go? And once I explain to them that this is my thought process behind this, and this is the principles, and this is why I want to try it. Luckily, I've always worked with clients who have completely been on board with that. What the challenges I've had are from clients who are not great clients to begin with. It wasn't that they didn't believe in the process. In fact, and I've never really talked about it publicly this way. I've shared it with a few close friends of mine, but I had a client who after I had done all of the work for her, all of the voice of customer interviews and all of that, all of the outline, she picked up, and I also do tech setups, right? So I also set up her Zapier and like a bunch of other things. She took a random screenshot saying something didn't work. She locked me out of all of her tools, and she said, it didn't work, so you need to refund. And this was very early in my career. And because I'm from India and I'm not from here, for me, the most important thing that I wanted to protect was my name and the trust that I'm building in this in the community. So I immediately refunded the entire amount that she had paid. I even paid the difference. So even though she had paid me through PayPal and I sent it back through PayPal, I still paid the difference, and I made sure she was completely happy that she had gotten all of her money back. Because and I talk about this a lot in my social connection framework as well. The most important thing for me is the brand that I'm building. And when people hear my name, they absolutely should feel like they can trust the person whose post they're reading on social media, whose blog post they're reading, whose podcast they're listening to, and who's sitting there on a sales call telling me that trust in my process, invest in me, and I'm going to get you results, right? And that was the most important thing. That was one of two times that I had to face something. To me, at that point, it was terrible, because I was trying to break into a new industry where I didn't know anybody. It was physically completely far away. And I felt really terrible. And I knew that I was being taken advantage of at that point. But for me, again, I did not care. What I cared most was I didn't want that person to go say, spread lies or say things about me, because I know even if people know me and believe me, there will always be the things that is being said will always be there, will always linger. So I have worked very hard to prevent that. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons I was able to grow very quickly, because 100% of my leads come to me through referrals, is because I have built, anybody who's known me or worked with me has that level of trust. Every single client that I have right now, we recently brought on a bunch of new clients, but before that, the average, because we work on retainers, the average time span a client spends with us is about 1.5 years. Mm-hmm. Unless something changes for them, or they bring somebody in-house, or whatever that looks like. That's how long clients work with us. So that was challenging. And I know a lot of freelancers go through this as well. Initially, when you're just starting out, sometimes it's difficult. Even for you, it's difficult. You don't have the internal processes set up. So sometimes you mess up. Sometimes the process doesn't work and you genuinely make a mistake, or things don't go your way. But even when you do everything right and it still doesn't work and something bad happens, it can be devastating, especially at the start. And I know a lot of freelancers, especially this year, are feeling that pinch and are feeling that pain. But what I have found is that when that happens, the most important thing is to believe in yourself and continue to invest in you as a person, you as a brand, because you are the person that people trust, and you are the person that people are investing money in. And luckily for me, when something similar happened last time, I was able to stand up for myself, and I was able to handle it well and still satisfy the client, because she realized that we can't be pushed as freelancers. We can't be pushed like that, because thanks to 10xFC, I had clear contractual terms, I had clear project lineups, and I had everything properly established. I had the Ducky set up, everything was clear. So when there was pushback, I was able to say, no, this is the process. We can do extra. And I love Jo, her tough love and the language she gives you. She said, this is out of scope, but I'm happy to do that if you need it. This is what this is what the new scope would look like, and this is the investment. And I was able to do that and show up confidently. And I loved, like, I thought about the first time this happened and what was happening now, and I loved how much I had grown. And a lot of it is the process that I learned in 10xFC, that show up as a professional and have these systems in place to protect yourself, and everything will go a lot smoother from that point on. And that was actually the worst thing that has happened to me in my freelance career. But that was like 2% of my entire experience. Everybody else that I worked with, and I worked with some pretty big names like Brenna McGowan. I've had referrals from Rai Schwartz, sending me people to work with, and I've had a lot of clients otherwise. But And it's been a fantastic experience. And I've never gotten anything other than 100% respect and trust in the process that I'm building. Again, thanks to showing up, like thanks to my social connection framework, because that's how I show up. So even before people get on a call with me, I've already built that trust. So the investment that I made in myself, like all of those years ago, including Copy School, 10XFC, the other programs that I've invested in, the think tank with Robin Kira, and most importantly, continuously showing up for myself, it's paid off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like not only like have you grown, from when you first started freelancing, just like as like a business person, as a copywriter, it sounds like your confidence has grown like tenfold, which is so important. Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much, Esai. Thanks for chatting with us today. Can you just let us know where people can find you online?
Okay. So the best place to connect with me if you want to learn about my lead gen services is LinkedIn. That's where I talk about Social Catalyst, which is my premium lead gen services. So please feel free to connect with me there. If you want to learn more about my social connection framework, and you want to get a glimpse of the clients that I'm working with, because I do a lot of IG Live in collaboration with them. If you want to get a sense of who my clients are and what kind of work I do, connect with me on Instagram. My handle is socialconnection.in, and that's social connection with a K. And I'm happy to send you links so you can include them if you'd like.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much, Esai. That was awesome.